Well, hello, everybody. Welcome here to today's Social Selling and Auto Retail Webcast. This is a monthly meetup that we started doing earlier this year. And the whole idea is to have a place for those that are in the automotive sales profession to get together on a periodic basis and talk about ideas and best practices that help you capitalize on the unbelievable tools that we have available today to help us connect with more customers, make more friends, and sell more stuff. And I stole those words from my friend and colleague, Terry Lancaster, who is right here with me as well, who helps lead these discussions. So Terry, let me get you on camera. Hello, hello.
Hello there. Greetings and salutations.
Greetings and salutations. Always good to be up here with you. And in the wings with us, we have a very special guest today, Fran, the king of prospecting, Taylor, who's joining us here as well. Fran is going to be on audio only, so you won't be able to see him, but you'll be able to hear him. Fran is a world-renowned sales trainer, like I said, also known as the king of prospecting. He specializes in training for automotive retail professionals, and he's one of a kind when it comes to in-house, hands-on training for car sales professionals, and his 30 sales a month workshops across America, which we'll talk about briefly as well. Now, Fran teaches dealers and managers that they don't have to be a slave to advertising when salespeople learn to prospect and close by getting their own customers. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. This is streamed live on YouTube. In a moment, I'll go and check the live feed. If you're here live, feel free to interact. If you are watching the video replay, please feel free to use the comment section. Terry and I will keep track of those comments as well. It is recorded. Once we finish here, the recording is automatically unlisted, so you will need the link if you want to watch the recording of all of our streams. So make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel to make sure that that happens. Okay, so Terry,
yes,
you come up with these angles and these ideas because the idea, selling cars is tough business, and there's many just many tools and tactics and mindsets. So here we're taking the angle that social selling is nothing new. It's nothing to do with social media. It's just building relationships. So why don't you go ahead and kick things off for us, and we'll get Fran in here as well.
Well, everyone's talking about you have to be on social media and you have to make more videos and you have to get out and build your own brand and you have to do a lot of things that we used to call salesmanship that just kind of got thrown under the bus over the last 20 or 30 years because the car business turned into a lead factory. And along the way, a lot of people forgot how to go out and meet people and sell them stuff. And they just picked the low hanging fruit. They were waiting for the deals to come to them. And then they saw that the power of social media and go, oh, I can have 5,000 friends on Facebook and start talking to them. And what we want to talk about today is connecting that back with the real world. Social media is just what happens in the real life. We talk about Facebook being almost like a cocktail party. You have to talk to friends, but using social media to sell is just the same as going to a cocktail party and meeting people and handing them your business card. So social selling is nothing out of the ordinary. It's how everything got sold 30 or 40 years ago. And last year I was on Facebook, on social media, and I kind of asked a bunch of friends of mine. I was looking for a car salesperson who sells a lot of their cars off of social media. And a guy named Joey Book over in Arkansas emailed back and said, hey, I'm selling 80% of my cars to people that I meet and off social media. And I said, well, I want to talk to you. And I had him on the Get You Some radio show. And in the course of the conversation, he said, my world changed when I met Fran Taylor. I went to one of Fran Taylor's 30 sales a month workshops, and it completely changed the way I thought about the car business. And at the time, I kind of knew who Fran Taylor was, but I didn't really know who Fran Taylor was. So I started bugging Fran Taylor to death to get him to come onto my podcast, the Get You Some radio show, and talk about meeting people out in the real world. Because here's what Joey told me, and here's what Fran will tell you too. Says that any day, even on your busiest sales day, there are more people out in the real world than will ever be at your dealership. So the question, Fran, is how do we get those people out in the real world? How do we meet them and get them into the dealership?
Well, you start off by changing your thinking. To me, it was easy. It was like taking candy from a baby. I mean, we had 25 guys on the floor when I started, and we were in the number one volume Toyota dealership out of 106 dealers. So there wasn't any time there wasn't 6, 8, 10 guys standing on the corner. So I couldn't compete with them. So I figured out how to get my own customers. Excuse me. And to me, it was easy. I'll give you an example about when I say changing your thinking. There's 1,000 people in a mall, and only 40 people are looking for a car. I can prove to you that I can tell you all 40 people who were looking for a car. And I say that a lot, and people say, oh, you're full of it. Well, all you have to do is ask them. You know, when anybody's within 10 feet, I'm thinking about money, making a friend, and building a long-time relationship, so I don't want to sell them one car. But I want to sell them a bunch of cars and have all their friends come to me. And that's pretty easy. All you got to do is say, hello, how are you? And usually they say, pretty good, and you? And that's when I say, better if I could sell a car or two. Who do you know looking for one? And they laugh, and they'll think a little bit. And if they say, I don't know anybody, that's when I used to turn my business card over with $100 on the back. And I say, why help make people's car payments and house payments? Because they send me customers. Could you use a couple $100 a month? In 33 years, I never had anybody say no. And then you just start talking to them. Now, I take it a step further. I always carried a little notepad in my back pocket. If they were just a special person, just a really nice person to talk to, just say they weren't interested and they didn't know anybody, I would put them in my birthday system. I'd say, look, you seem like a nice person. Can I mail you a birthday card? If you're in the market at that time, you come see me. I'll be just as nice to you then as I am now. See, my goal was to get 2 of those a day. So in holiday time, when it comes up, I was sending thousands of holiday cards out. I see people, it's hard to get them to send 300, let alone thousands. Excuse me. So the one thing is, once you get a relationship with people, you got to keep it going. Like, you never get hate mail for being nice. And when you call somebody up and wish them happy birthday, or you send them a holiday card with a follow-up phone call, that's how you get them. Like, I hear it all the time, customers for life. I don't know about that, but I know one thing. The odds go straight up when you're outside social talking to somebody. Just, to me, it was a natural thing. Every time I get a chance to talk to somebody, and if I could make $500 or $1,000 a day legally, you can bet I was talking to everybody. Now, I went a little further with that. Like, one day I went to Hershey Foods, and there was 5,000 employees there in Hershey, which was only a couple miles away. I got a chance to talk to the big guy, and I was talking to him. I said, look, if you're not impressed in 2 minutes, throw me out. Well, I got in there. That ended up being 20 minutes, a half-hour conversation. And he loved it because I said, I'll be fair, I'd take care of the customers and all that other stuff. And before I left, I said, hey, do you know the big guy down there at Reese's Peanut Butter, which was 2 miles away? He said, yeah. I said, would you mind giving him a call? He said, hang on. So within an hour, hour and a half at the most, I was in 2 of the biggest factories around. And I sent those guys birthday cards. Mr. Brown, I sent him a bottle of wine. You know, and the other guy liked to fish. I sent him fish and stuff. And every time I would call them, which wasn't a lot, they always took my call because I showed genuine concern. And I think that's what's missing today. Too many salespeople sell somebody a car, and that's it. Or they'll mail a birthday card and just sign their name. Well, that's not how you get a customer for life. You got to take a little while and write a paragraph or something like that and call them up and actually care. Like David is going to be speaking in a workshop, 30 sales a month. He said, don't do follow-up calls. And what he meant by that, he calls up because he cares about the people. And I think that's a difference. You know, when you care about people and you keep talking to them and, you know, doing follow-up, and that's what it's all about. To me, it was like taking candy from a baby. You know, I just love it.
Fran, let's talk about, so you meet someone in the grocery store, or you meet someone at the gas station, or you meet a nice waiter, waitress at the diner that you're having lunch, and you give them your card and you got them talking to them. What happens when those people, you know, if they weren't immediately looking for a new car, but what happens when they do get ready to look for a new car and they come in to see how is a customer who's coming to see you different than a customer coming in, a stranger coming in off the lot shopping for a car?
Well, it's like if I know you and we're talking, I say, hey, go see Fran Taylor. He'll treat you right. I mean, that's half the battle. When you get those people in, you already have that little bond of trust. Like when I went out every day, I always wore a name tag. I used to go to a different restaurant every day, even if it was to get a coffee or whatever. I didn't want to sit at the dealership because there was nothing going on. And first thing I'd say is, do you remember me? And right away, they'd look at my name tag. After a while, everybody knew me, but I'd move on to another one, then to another one. And that's the whole idea. It's about trust. If you and I know each other, and I say, hey, go see Fran Taylor at ABC Motors, I mean, that's half the battle. I mean, I can't tell you how many, a lot of times people would come in. I say, well, who sent you in? Terry. Well, do you trust him? Yeah, good. I'm next. That's all they want to hear. And the cool thing about it, when you build those relationships you're talking about by going out and meeting people, your gross is higher, your close ratio higher, more fun, less stress, and it takes less time. Yeah, it takes a little bit of work, but I tell you what, there's nothing like going to a grocery store and seeing a mom pushing a little girl around in a grocery cart, and you wiggle your fingers at her trying to get her to smile. I do that for me. I mean, that makes my day if I can get a little kid to smile. Usually the parents will look back and see what's going on right away. That's my opening. That's my meet and greet. I'll say, that's a cute little girl. What's her name? Sally. Da-da-da-da-da. Oh, by the way, I sell cars. Who do you know looking to buy a new used car? It takes 30 seconds. But you meet 15 people a day, and I say 15, that's light for me, but I'm just trying to get guys to realize how easy it is. 15 a day is $450 a month. Mm-hmm. At a 3% close ratio, that puts you at 13 cars for the month without taking it up, without phone calls, without prospecting working. So believe me when I tell you, all the money's outside. I mean, you look at Ali Reba. I mean, I talked to him twice, and they did a show about a month or two ago with somebody. And the guy was talking about the internet. And when Ollie got up there, he said, it's all about prospecting, going out talking to people. Now, there's a number one guy in the world who's been saying what I've been saying for 30-some years. All you got to do is go out there and try it. Now, when I started, to be honest with you, I was a young guy then, I had no problem talking to the young ladies. But after a while, you do it long enough, you'll talk to anybody. And once you start talking to people and build those relationships outside the dealership, believe me, they'll flock to you. It just takes a little bit of time and a little bit of practice.
Fran, I have a question for you. When you talk about 15 a day, that's 450 a month. You're having these short exchanges and you're giving them your card. Is it all on them to come back to you? Are you building like a follow-up list and you're reaching out to these people, or is it strictly waiting on them to come back to you?
Well, I try to build a follow-up list. Like I said, if I meet somebody that's really super nice, somebody that I really enjoy talking to, I'll try and get their birthday. So no, I don't call them back every 2 months because I'm going to have enough leads by doing what I'm doing. I don't have. It's like sort of calling orphan owners. I had to do that when I started, but you know what? It didn't take me long to realize after getting cussed at and saying, don't call me, you guys call every week. That's when I realized, I'm just going to go talk to people. If I can do it, anybody can. And my worst month was 23. That was my first month. And I was salesman a month every month from then on because I discovered there's a lot of nice people out there. And if you're nice to them, they might not buy that day. But I can't tell you how many times people would come back in 6-8 months and say, Fran, I met you. I'm interested in a car. And because I showed concern, like Terry was talking about, by calling them up on their birthdays, sending the birthday cards, and not, just showing genuine concern. Believe me, they'll flock to you, but it takes a while. I mean, in a year, they'll come after you. Plus, you do the prospecting tools. And, I said, nice guys finish first in the car business. It's not a football game.
Yeah, you mentioned Ali Rita. So Ali told me, he said, listen, my wife and kids hate to go into a restaurant with me because they know the minute we go in, it's going to take 20, 30 minutes for us to even get to the table, much less start getting anything, because Ollie's talking to everybody. He's talking to the owner. He's talking to the manager. He's talking to all the waitresses. He knows half the people in the store. He says like cheers in there. Everybody knows his name. So it takes him longer at the restaurant to get to eat because he's meeting and greeting and making friends and shaking hands and kissing babies. But when those people come in to see him, and you mentioned this, they close faster because the trust factor is already built up. They trust what he tells them. They don't have to double check on the internet. That's why Ollie can sell 100, 200 cars a month, because the trust level is already built up, and they're pre-closed. They're ready to go. He just needs to pull the car around, tell them what the payment is, and hand them the keys.
It's that easy, to be honest with you. You know, I talked to him and Frank. I said, how long did it take you guys to get to 50 cars a month? Both of them said 8 to 10 years. Well, you don't have to take 8 to 10 years. I was doing it 50 cars a month, my second year in the business. And the difference is I went after the masses. Like when I was in Hershey Foods, Reese's, I was in Bethlehem Steel, 5,000 people there. I mean, I wasn't afraid to go knocking because, you know, you can meet 15 people a day. I mean, that's nothing. You could do it at a gas station. You're standing at the gas station, a guy pulls in and say, hey, what kind of gas mileage you get in that truck? Just start the conversation. I mean, it's that easy to me. Hey, some are going to like it. Some are going to say, nah, I'm not interested. Well, never let anybody making minimum wage ruin your day, so move on to the next one. If you get 1 or 2 a day, do the math. And then you do it for 6 months. Now, the hardest thing for me was getting over talking to everybody. When I first started, I cherry pick who I was talking to. But once the money started rolling, I got over that real quick.
So who are you were cherry picking, looking for what you're looking for, you know, in market buyers or people you thought might be shopping or people with money. So you were trying to cherry pick the top end.
Well, that's an interesting comment, because when I went out every day to have lunch, I always got the owner of the restaurant, the manager, or the people making money. I went looking for people with credit. Not to say I wouldn't take anybody else, but, you know, not that people that own a restaurant all have good credit, but I'm just saying the odds of me selling a car go up. Yeah. But once I started being friends with those guys, then I'd get them in my birthday system. And after being there 5 or 6 times, I'd say, you know, I'd send everybody here. I hope business is going up, da-da-da-da-da. And I'd say, do you mind if I put a business card or something up? Oh, no, go ahead. You know, you go to barbershops. I was at one the other day. There must have been 100 cards up there. There wasn't one from a car salesman. Not one. I mean, if you're only giving out 500 cars a month, man, get after it. I mean,
you know, it's funny. You talk about those the cards. Nathan Hayes, who works over Jefferson City Autoplex, Jefferson City, Missouri. I had him on the Get You Some radio show, and he talked. He's a big networker. He goes to a lot of the Rotary Club and the business networking and the Chamber of Commerce type thing. And I know Joey Book does a lot of that too. And Nathan told me he 100%, he got into the car business because he was going to all these meetings, and every meeting he'd go to out in the real world, there's a dozen real estate agents handing out business cards, shaking hands. There was, you know, half a dozen mortgage brokers standing in line, shaking hands, kissing babies. There was bankers and insurance agents, and they're all out there hustling, doing the thing. He said, I never once saw a car dealer there. I decided I was going to be the car dealer in every one of those meetings. And so he's got a captive market. He's the only one doing it. And they all come to Nathan to buy cars.
Well, that makes sense. I know one thing. Once you start making good money, you know, 10, 20 grand or whatever, it doesn't matter. Even if you're only making 3,000 and you start doing this stuff, it's impossible not to make more money. It goes back to the beginning. Why are you at work? Not to sell cars. And you don't come to work just to make money to pay bills. You come to work to have things. You see, that's what's changed my thinking right off the bat. Because, I mean, hell, I didn't even have a car when I started. The owner bought me clothes, so that's a pretty rough book. But I wrote down real estate, racehorses, fly around the world hunting, fishing, own my game preserve, buy my grandmother house. I was serious about that. And the cool thing about it is every time I talked to somebody, I had the opportunity to make $500 or $1,000. Once I discovered that, it's move over world, I'm talking to everybody. And what's really cool is I didn't care if you're black, white, tall, small, male, female. It didn't matter. It didn't matter to me. I just knew one thing. There's more people outside ready to buy a car than will ever be there in their biggest sale. That really hit home with me. So once I started, that's where the fun is. I mean, to me, I mean, you meet a guy fresh up, you know, they want retail for their car, 500 over invoice, and then they want to think about it.
Right.
You get a friend sending a friend and they're coming back, man, you don't have to put up with all that because the trust bond is there. And it may start by you going out saying hello to somebody.
Guys, I'm going to jump in here just because I want to segue into a couple other things. But real quick, if you're tuned in live, thanks for being here. Mike, the car guy Carrera, has chimed in. He says,
Mikey.
hello, Fran. Mike actually says he's been following you for years and shares your training with salespeople on his teams all over Southern California. So I thought you'd appreciate that. We have Fran Taylor here, King of Prospecting. We're talking about basically the 7 reasons why the idea of social selling, building relationships, is better than waiting on the up bus. This is one of 6 different programs that we conduct on a monthly basis. If you like what you see here, be sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. That way you can access the recordings. If you want to participate as an attendee on the webinar or as a panelist like Fran, then follow the link to register, and you can register for that as well. Fran, I want to turn to you and ask, because I just said it, you know, all these reasons, we can sit here and talk about why these tactics, these principles, these practices are so effective. But why do still the vast majority of sales professionals not seem to either know, understand, or care? Because it's true. When you walk into a dealership, the majority seem to be tinkering around, waiting for people to come in or waiting to get assigned a lead. And like you said a minute ago, you don't have time to be there. You have to be out there. So where's the disconnect? Is it just not understanding? Is it laziness? Do you have any idea on where that disconnect would be?
I don't think it's so much laziness anymore. I was talking to a dealer today. He has 22 salespeople, and he's not doing anything I'm talking about. And I said to him, dealers and managers are so busy running their store today that they don't have time to grow their business. Back when I sold cars, our managers took us all on demos. They took us out prospecting. I mean, the times have changed. But I said to him, that's still no excuse not to get it done. That's where you should hire somebody to help do it. And salespeople, I mean, it's like our group or my 30 sales a month webinars. Every time we do that, there's somebody jumps up and sells 30 cars a month because they got the right information. I mean, to me, it's common sense. And sometimes you have to talk to them, not disrespectful, but say, look, go buy a hoodie that costs $15 and put on there, need a new used car, see me, Fran Taylor, ABC Motors, and the phone number. I can't tell you how many times people will walk up to me and say, hey, you got any used trucks? Well, yeah. So you spend $15 and you make a couple grand over time. The problem is nobody teaches it anymore, not that I know of. And salespeople aren't lazy. They're just looking for ideas that work. And, you know, I've been so blessed by this. I'm telling you that. And by the way, all the stuff that I teach, I did it. I know what it's like to sell 50 cars a month and work 45 hours a week. I was thinking today, I wonder where the heck would I be if I'd have stayed 5 years, let alone 2.5, you know. But the stuff that you guys are talking about, social selling, man, if you're not getting out there and doing it, you're losing tons of money because I promise you, it's not happening on the lot usually.
So you got to get out there and do that. Fran, tell us about your workshop. We have a few minutes left here. It's 30 sales a month. How often are you doing them? What type of attendance do you look for? What can people expect from attending your workshop?
Well, I only do about 2 or 3 a year. I had a guy tell me today, when you coming to Houston? I said, never. I mean, I only do a couple a year. If I did one a week, I still couldn't get to 50 states. So we're doing one in Orlando, January 14th and 15th. Now, here's what I think makes a difference. It's like my 30 sales a month group. I don't have vendors on there. I have nothing against vendors, but, you know, we talk car sales, period. You know, grosses, phone techniques, prospecting, whatever, and we let everybody interact. And I started that by luck with 6 guys that were all making over 200 grand a year. I said, hey, I love you guys. I just don't have time to talk to you. I'm going to start a secret private group. Well, we got 8,000 people in there. And as far as the workshops, I have people speak that went through my training that are selling, well, this next one, everybody's speaking, selling, you know, 40 or 50 cars a month. and they talk about what they did when they were selling 8 years, selling a whopping 15, 17 a month, and the changes they made to get to 40 cars a month. And nobody's selling anything. They don't have nothing to sell. You go to a lot of these conferences and stuff, everybody trying to sell you something. They don't have nothing to sell. And sort of like, when you care about people, it shows. Well, nobody's selling nothing. And we have a meeting the night before from 7 to 10 that I'll introduce the speakers, and they can go up and talk to them. I have free food and open bars, so you can just relax and talk. And you can ask these guys and gals anything you want, and they're there to help you. And it's like Dave Clayton coming up. He's just so grateful that, he's selling 40 cars a month, and he never dreamed of doing that. And he just said, I'll come anywhere. It's like Chris Fuckel. That guy sells 35, 40 cars a month and works 45 hours a week. And some of these guys are just grateful to come back. You guys mentioned Joey Book. Well, I give all the credit to the owner down there. They were doing like 240 cars when I met them. 3 years later, I think the best they had was 360. And Joey's been to several of my workshops. So is Ken Serrato and some of those guys, because once you get a taste of this and it starts to work for you, you automatically want more. And just because you hear it one time, don't mean you got it. Just because you buy a book or audios isn't the same. I mean, you don't go to school and they give you a book and give you a test. They teach what's in the book. And what's cool about these workshops, I mean, you're going to hear a bunch of different people saying a couple different things they do. And to be honest with you only need one or two things that could change and make an extra 20, 30,000 a year. Knowing it and doing it's two different things. And the people speaking, they're doing it. And that's all a lot of salespeople want to hear. To say, what's going on now? What are you doing now? Traffic's slow. Okay, well, here's what you do to fix that. And then you throw enough good information at anybody, somebody's going to get something. And, it's a shame I hear people all the time wanting to come and their managers say, we need floor coverage. What's up with that? Man, turn me loose with somebody who wants to get it. It's like Nicholas Cutlip. He come from Maryland. He drove to Florida a couple years ago. Well, as soon as that guy walked through the door, I knew I had a winner, because who's going to drive 12, 14 hours if they weren't serious? Well, he sells 35, 40 cars a month, and he takes a week a month off. My kind of guy.
So Mike, who's tuned in live, said so many folks are looking for the magic bullet and they can't see what's under their nose already. And I think if what I'm hearing you say, Fran, is once somebody gets a taste of these ideas working, and they see it in their paycheck, they see it in their bank account, and they get a taste, they want more, and they just naturally continue to repeat that process. But getting them started seems to be, whether it's awareness or just the understanding of how impacting it can be. What would be your advice to somebody listening now that's not selling 30 a month, that's struggling to hit 10 or 15 or 20? What would be your advice to them listening and watching this right now?
Well, a couple of different things there. That my 30 sales a month group is private. I mean, that's free training there, but it's not as in-depth as the personal training I have. Or get to these workshops. Probably one of the biggest things I hear a lot is they got an old pro who's been selling 15 years. They're number one in their store selling 20 cars a month. I got nothing against those people, but you got to get with the movers and shakers who's going to tell you something different. It's no different. Some trainers, I'm not going to mention names, I'm not going to knock anybody, but if they've been doing and selling 20 cars a month, they're going to teach you how to sell 20 cars a month. And the people that are selling 30, 40 cars a month, they have different knowledge than somebody selling 15 or 20. So for the new people that want to do it, man, you got to get in on shows like you're talking about, and just get aggressive with it and pick out something you like and go for it. And don't be afraid to fail, because this prospecting we're talking about, it takes a while to get going. But once it's going, nobody can stop it. I don't care if, when I sold cars, they could have hired 100 people. It wouldn't have hurt me, because I had people coming in asking for me. But you got to learn to do the right things. It's like birthday cards. I mean, I was watching these guys, the two top guys, and they're both selling 25 cars a month. They were selling or doing 25 mailers a night, and Dave was doing 25 at night. And I spent a week trying to figure out what's better to do in the morning or evening. Finally, I realized what don't matter, just get it done. Now, here's the difference. I started to mail the whole family birthday cards, husband, the wife, and the 3 kids. and I'd call them up on their birthday. I can't tell you how many times I talked to a little boy, 12 years old, and wish him happy birthday, and then I'd hang up. 5 minutes later or less, the parents would call back and say, "Man, that's really nice of you." And I start talking, da-da-da-da. My last question would always be, "Oh, by the way, who do you know looking to buy a new used car?" I mean, like I said, you never get hate mail for being kind, but the difference is you got to stick with it. And once you really care about those people, that's social selling, they'll take off. But the new people that want to learn, they got to get the right information. I mean, I hear it all the time. We don't do any training at all. We got thrown to the wolves. But that's no excuse. You can still do stuff like listen to your show or talk to Terry or get in these groups. And you have to cherry pick where you get your information from. As long as somebody has the results or showing that they got somebody selling big numbers, that's the person you want to listen to. And, we all have egos. And like I said, when I got into trading, I thought I was it. I met guys who made me look like a high school kid. So that's the people you want to be around. And, you just got to go after it and find the right people to help you.
Well, Fran, thanks for taking the time. I know you're in the middle of a lot of stuff. That's why you couldn't be on video. So it's really great to have you up here and share this. It's funny. I've heard you on interviews before, both on Terry's show and I think Mike Cirillo's as well. And so I'm starting to become familiar with some of your themes and your stories, right? And these are experiences that you draw upon that demonstrate the power and the effectiveness that these principles have. And I think that's key. I always want people to understand that is, look, we come up here to get together and talk about ideas, which might seem like common sense at some point, right, Fran? Like this stuff's common sense to you. Terry, this all just makes sense. But doing it and seeing it work, like you said, don't be afraid to fail because it's not going to happen immediately, but you got to start somewhere. So thank you, Fran.
So Ryan, before we head out, one thing I wanted to make sure we mentioned is we didn't mention the 7 reasons why. So we'll go through those real quick. 7 reasons why people who know you and like you and trust you, who've met you outside the dealership, who come into the dealership looking for you, they're going to close faster. They're going to close. They're more likely to close. They're going to close faster. They're going to close with higher grosses. They're going to leave you higher CSI scores. You're going to get more reviews. You're more likely to get better referrals, and they're more likely to come back to see you for repeat business. And that's more than a home run. That's a home run and a half, a home run and a triple. And so that's much better than, like Fran said, some guy coming in wanting retail for his trade, $500 under invoice for his car, wants to compare yours to 3 other dealerships, 200 miles away, and still wants free oil changes for life on top of that, because they don't know you, they don't like you, they don't trust you.
Well, thank you for pulling those out. And I brought my screen up for those that are on the video portion so they can see that. They're right here in the blog post. And folks, if you want to participate in any way, shape, or form, either as a dial-in caller, as a panelist, or just sit back and watch and ask questions like Mike Carrera was on the live feed, get yourself registered for the series. There's a link in here on the blog post. It's in the show notes. It's in the live chat, and just get yourself registered. What that'll do is it'll automatically include you on all upcoming sessions that we schedule. Terry and I are doing this pretty much about every month. Now, Terry also has a workshop, the Social Selling for Automotive Sales Professionals workshop. He does that about once a quarter. And by registering, we'll send you a 20 discount code for 20% off of registration from Terry's workshop. And real quick, Fran, since we still have you, you said your workshop is free. You just have to show up. There's no, if someone wants to attend, they don't have to pay or register.
Oh no, you got to pay, but I don't charge anywhere near with everybody else. I mean, like I feed everybody, and I don't give them cheap food either. I mean, I want it to be an enjoyable thing, and I want them to learn. I'm their biggest fan. I know what it's like to start with nothing. So, I mean, I really care about them. I do. I expect somebody there every time we do one to sell 30 cars a month. The only thing they're missing is the knowledge. Like I said, just get there. We feed you that night, we feed you breakfast, feed you lunch, and I'll introduce you to some of the speakers that, I won't say they're the best in the world, but hey, if you want to sell 40, 50 cars a month, these speakers are doing that, and they share the information, what they're doing. You know, if I get to like you, you're in trouble because I call them all back. I really try and help. And then when they call me, I always try and take the call. And, you know, just like Joey Book or Ken Sorato there. I mean, Ken took 5 vacations last year. He works at the same dealership Joey Book did. Took his family to New York City, then to Disney World, and then in December he took them to Hawaii for a Christmas present. I mean, he lives outside of Somerville, Arkansas, wherever that's at. Now, he was ready for the information. That's the kind of information you get at these workshops.
So, and you can register at 30salesamonth.com, right, Fran?
Yes, sir.
30salesamonth.com.
Cool. Let's put a link in there to the show notes. All right. Thanks again, Fran.
Thanks
Terry,
for having me. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, it was definitely great having you, and welcome back anytime. You know, show up here every couple of months. It'd be great to have your presence again. Terry, anything else before we wind down?
No. You know, come see me and Fran. I'm going to be speaking at his deal in January 15th in Orlando. I've been invited to speak. I was at his one in Charlotte, in Cherokee, North Carolina, a couple of months ago, and it was phenomenal. He says he feeds you. He feeds you good. I like food, and the food was fantastic. So I'm going to be speaking there, and it is a phenomenal experience. Yeah, y'all come.
All righty, folks. Thanks again for tuning in. Ryan Girardi, Terry Lancaster here from the Social Selling and Auto Retail Webcast Series. And let us know if you have any questions. Feel free to leave a comment. We'll be back here next month. And we'll also, Terry and I will be back on Thursday for our video marketing panel session. We have Adam Thrasher coming back, and Chad Morgan will be on Thursday. Same time, same place right here on YouTube. Have a great rest of the day, everyone. And thanks again for tuning in.
Take care.